Well, go get in there. Live! Play us in. Live! Live!
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, Ryan has been in the Halloween candy. He is all sugared up.
Are you fading us in?
Yeah, no, well.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Whatever you want to do. Oh, let's just go. Let's just go with it.
Nobody wants to see my ugly ass.
Run, baby, run.
Do I need to adjust my mic out of the way, Paul?
Here.
There we go.
See, I told you you've been on here before.
Say what?
You've been on here before.
Yeah.
All right, big boy, you ready for it?
I was on the kayak show.
Chug, chug, chug.
Chug your lug, chug your lug.
Let's do it. Mountain Dew, boys.
Bring us in.
Mountain Dew, boys. All right, guys. Welcome to another fantastic Thursday night episode of the Livewell, Fish North Georgia's only live broadcasting other than Tuesday Live Fishing, where you can watch me not catch a fish. Yeah, exactly. We got a great episode in store for you guys tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to try to talk some sense into this. I'm going to try to learn something. Listen, I went back in my calendar and I looked back in my little journal that I keep and stuff. And Thursday was the first time in 3 years that I have not caught at least like 5 fish on the near, and it was bad. So it was tough. It's brutally tough. It is brutally tough out here, and it is brutally tough on all these lakes here in North Georgia. On up in the 10 IC, where Rocky Top will be in Athens, Georgia, this Saturday. I'm gonna get something slung me in a second.
He has already subjected us to listening to.
I am predicting
verbal torture.
I am predicting that Saturday
That the rivers in Tennessee will flow high with Rocky Top tears.
probably no. I doubt it. I really don't expect it. I really don't expect Georgia to win. I really don't.
And he's the one that said the Braves were going to sweep in 3
Yes.
in the playoffs.
Yes.
So
See,
there's that.
So there's that. So if that should hold you on to any hope that I'm predicting that Georgia will lose, I predicted the Braves will sweep the Phillies. And look at the Phillies; they're tied 2-2.
The Phillies go from dropping 5 bombs on Houston.
Getting no hit. That is unknown.
Baseball is dumb.
That is baseball is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, is what it is. It's the most ridiculous sport. I don't even know why I subject myself to 162 games of torture every single year. But last year was worth it.
You know, Kirby Smart's the happiest person in the world when those playoff standings came out.
Them was ranked 3.
Yep.
Motivation, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's down there telling them they don't respect you, you know.
Rat
Good.
Rat poison stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about all this stuff. So listen, guys, we appreciate you. Appreciate you watching to listen and then listening in. And we've got a great show tonight. We have some guests in the background. We'll get to them here in a minute. But before we do any of that, let's handle some business here. This episode is brought to you, as always, by For Her Outdoor Apparel. We absolutely love Jennifer and Peyton at For Her Outdoor Apparel. They have some absolutely excellent apparel that not just for girls, they're also for very highfalutin men as well. I consider myself highfalutin, so Jennifer, I need to get me something.
George, you figure they got some kind of pony holder?
We need a For Her Apparel ponytail holder for the beard, Jennifer.
Not ponytail holder.
Jennifer, you need to work on this.
Beard organizer, Jennifer.
Beard diaper with a hole in it.
George will rep it. He will rep it hardcore, Jennifer.
All day.
You need it all day long for real. So For Her Outdoor Apparel, you can contact them, www.forheroutdoor.com. Listen, I'll bring you something. Look there. She said it already. She said, I will bring you something. So we're going to get you set up, George, with something. So that's a new comment I haven't seen. Stephanie Sanders. Hello, Stephanie Sanders. How are you this evening? We appreciate you taking the time to watching us.
That's my fiance.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay, if that's the case, Stephanie, we need to talk.
Listen, Jennifer. So far, from the looks of it by the comment section already, I know we have 33 people viewing, but everyone else seems to be slow to comment. Not sure why, but the women,
The ladies
are
are
outdoing the men. So that's fantastic. Jennifer wants to see more and more ladies and young ladies watching the podcast and getting more and more into fishing, which I think is a great thing. We got something really, really, really exciting coming in April of next year that we're doing with Jennifer and for her apparel.
Ooh.
So y'all, as we work out the details, Jennifer will probably say, yes, absolutely. And it is a yes, absolutely thing because it's going to be fun. We're going to have a grand old time at Mary Alice Park in Cumming, Georgia. Details to come. So
Let's go.
yeah, see, exactly. I called it. So Jennifer, she's in Canada. And it is absolutely fantastic up there where she's at. She posted some pictures. Looks like the North Pole.
Well,
She
she
said
says Jeff
Nail
Nail
is
sporting a ponytail holder
He is wearing
or ponytail hat.
ponytail hat.
Alex Pierce. So Jennifer, so real quick before I get into anymore, Jennifer sends me a text the other day when she lands, and she goes, she sends me a screenshot of her iPhone, the weather app on her iPhone, and it's like -4 and stuff like that. So I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Brutal.
I'm not. Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. I need to know one thing kind of off topic. Y'all throwing them ditch diggers
Them bitch what?
on
Open face.
open face or casting rods. If you are Miss Jennifer Jones, the owner of For Her Outdoor Apparel, you're throwing it on a spinning rod. If you are any of the rest of us, you're throwing it on a casting rod. Me and Jennifer are going fishing soon. We're going to work on her casting ability. Do you know that I'm also going to say it like it is, Jennifer. You can slap me the next time you see me. Her brother says she can't fish, says she sucks at fishing. I said, that's an absolute lie. That's crap. So everyone has their skill sets.
Everyone has
Everyone has
you
their
can't
skill
positively reinforce somebody, tear them down with negative comments, I guess is his motto. I don't
That's
know.
one way to go about it.
set. I don't know about that. Jennifer, listen, I love you. We love you here at Fish North Georgia, and we're going to make him eat those words here pretty soon. So
John, I guess you made it home safely.
John has he's either he calls me the dumb fisherman. That's what he calls me.
He's
a dumb
on the road.
fisherman.
Oh,
A dumb fisherman.
John does.
I don't know about all that, but it is what it is. So
we kind of interrupted your little intro with all this.
well, I mean, I got For Her Outdoor Apparel. She's one of our fine #1 sponsors for each episode of the Livewell. Also, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. I had a great conversation with Alan today. He reordered some jigs to get restocked back
Where
up.
are we at there?
I'm gonna take care of him here pretty quick. And but
Yeah, I bought them out of several last week.
well, good. I'm glad. That's why I'm redoing it.
Yeah.
So I have to redo that order again. So the fish hate me,
They
according
do.
to you. So
They
what
do.
they biting on West Point? Listen, Cole, give us a minute here. We got to get to where we're going. I'm trying.
Everything you're not throwing.
I'm trying.
Is this going to be a squirrel episode?
See, there's Alan. Yeah, see, there's Alan. There he is. He's done a nice hat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you can see over here, though, if you look behind the beautiful mug of Dane Hunter, let me see it, Paul. Let me see it. There it is, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. And contact.
Phone arm down.
No phone number.
Go to Buford Dam Bait and Tackle right off of 2595 Buford Dam Road in Cumming, Georgia. Go see Dave Allen and the guys. They are fantastic people. They've got live bait. They've got herring. They've got shad. They've got crappie minnows, and they've got all different kinds of tackle. Also, too, one thing that Alan wanted me to remind people of that has never been mentioned before, at Buford Dam Bait and Tackle, they do a discount for all first responders and active retired military members. So if you are active, retired military, first responder, First of all, we appreciate everything that you guys have done. We appreciate everything that you guys will continue to do. Those of you that are active, whether you're a first responder or in the military, which basically everything that you do allows us to be able to do what we're doing here tonight. I think all of us in this room would agree with that 100%. So you guys go ahead over and check out Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. They got trout TNT stuff. What? What'd you say?
Oh, finally fought the camera.
Oh, it's finally fought the camera. Oh, sorry. So yeah, that right. I guess squirrel. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be squirrel night. It's going to be squirrel night. So, but we appreciate Alan and Dave and all the guys at Buford Dam Bait and Tackle for sponsoring the Livewell, and go check them out. They've got all kinds of great stuff. Located again at 2595 Buford Dam Road, Cumming, Georgia 30041. Give the guys a call, 706-429-7211. Now, we also do want to say one thing specifically before we get into this deeper. Lanier Bates Hard Swimmers.
The hard swimmers.
The Hard Swimmers will be here November 18th. I'm doing my best Earl accent that I can do.
What you're saying is November 18th
November-
is gonna be a wicked pisser.
November 18th is going to be a wicked pisser. It's going to be a wicked pisser a day.
Hard swimmers.
Hard
everywhere.
swimmers and overpriced chrome, blueback herring, ghost herring, and FZNH2O.
They're not overpriced anymore. Remember, he went down from 40 to 39.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
They're
you're
not
right.
overpriced
You're right
anymore.
about that. What did
They're
you
perfect.
do, Paul? I've never seen you do that before in my life. You took the comments away for a second. That's crazy. So you guys, the hard swimmers, and LJ texted me a while ago. He wanted me to definitely make sure that all of you guys who enjoyed last week's episode, because it got a lot of response to last week's episode, as always, when Mr. Lanier Jim is in the house, he has an article that will be coming out about setting up sonars and fishing and finding ditches. So you guys be on the lookout. Now, I will say this one thing. If LJ ain't watching, when he pops back on later, LJ, you did not tell me in the text message where this article will be found. That's kind of important. So
It's on Google.
it might be in GON. I don't know. But me and him had a conversation about Mr. Ronnie Garrison last week when me and him put in at Thompson Creek Boat Ramp together. So maybe it might be in GON. I don't know, but we'll find out. We're going to find out something. So, yeah. So I got some text messages over here behind me too. I silenced my cell phone like they do in the movie theaters. So Lanier Bates, all our guys, and then as always, Rachel Collins of 400 Homes. She's fantastic at what she does. If you need to buy or sell your home, contact Rachel at 770-310-0599 or email her at rachel@400homes.com. We appreciate it. All of her support that she's had. She's been with us for a while, and we love her. She's a girl who fishes, just like Jennifer, just like the Stephanie Fish.
Yep.
Stephanie
The
Fish, just like
hater, but
Stephanie.
she fishes, boy. She's out there.
Listen, you need to do your job and make it to the point where the fish don't hate her as her
I
fiance.
have tried.
Well,
I have watched her make, and I
Quit
took,
catching all of them at the front of the boat.
No,
Leave some unused water.
Quit sore lipping all over.
try harder.
so
Try
I have
harder.
taken her from a Zebco 33 this year
Okay.
to an open face.
Okay.
And so the first step, we're getting there. I have watched her make some of the prettiest casts. And I went by places on purpose and said, there's fish in there. And I've watched her lay some of the prettiest casts right in there, reel it in, nothing. And I'm like, how does it? Like I said, we went out with Bill Payne last week. She didn't catch one. She didn't catch one. Yes.
Well, listen.
And
Wrong time of year.
Yeah, it's tough.
it was rough for everybody, but that was the one thing I wanted. That's why I took her instead of somebody else, because I wanted her to get on some fish, and it just couldn't happen for us.
I will get to that. I will get to that more towards halfway through the show there, Joseph, about fishing with Everyday Heroes tournament is this Saturday. I've got a special little lock here for some tournaments that are going to be coming up here soon that are all around us. So you guys have got a lot of good opportunities to get in some dubbies. And our guys from Tennessee, he's sitting over here. They're talking to each other. The brothers. Justin Boring, also known as by his brother Chubby, and his other older brother, Chris Boring. They're in the house. So I'm sitting here talking to, who was I talking to? Was I talking to anybody? I was on the phone. I was on the phone with, I was on the phone with Michael Keeney, believe it or not. So this boat pulls in the parking lot, and I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, a boat!" Fisherman.
These guys must be lost.
These guys are lost. And
Ain't no water near here.
in walk these two fantastic gentlemen who we have got to know this evening, and they're absolutely great guys. If you guys run into them or see them out on the lake the next 2 days on Lanier, give them the utmost hospitality that Fish North Georgia community can give. They're out here trying to catch some spotted bass. They said they don't care about anything else. They want to catch some spotted bass. I said, well, you come to the right place. But
Absolutely.
they were showing
like
me,
around here.
they're like, so yeah, so it was like, it was funny.
No shortage.
Chris was trying to be funny to me earlier. I think that's what he was trying to do. I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong. He goes, yeah, I mean, I'm sick and tired of basically catching these. He starts flipping through his phone and he starts showing me these pictures of them. Like, you got 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, and he's got a smallmouth hanging from each one of them from where they're at up in Tennessee. And I'm like, dude, you don't realize that we would kill for that down here. Yep. Like, I mean, it was amazing.
Y'all probably don't realize there's a lot of boys fish around here that's never even caught a smallmouth in their life.
I've never put one in.
Ryan, you never caught smallmouth?
You never caught smallmouth?
No,
Not saying-
Really?
No. I told y'all that. I've tried fish for them. I can't damn fight I can't catch the damn things.
We got to
I'm going up
just
where
like
they
that,
are.
Paul.
Well,
just like that.
Since we're laying the cards on the table, you know how many I've caught?
Their home lake. Huh?
I caught but one.
Their home lake is Fort Loudon.
Yeah.
Fort Loudon is pretty much their home lake. And those of you guys who may be familiar with Fort Loudon, we are, except for me.
Of course, I know somebody sitting at the table called me last year. I mean, I just caught like 4-pound smallmouth up here on Blue Ridge.
Sorry.
Oh my God! Never heard of him. I think he's an idiot anyway.
Yeah.
Jonathan Farmer.
Shots
Farmer,
fired.
everybody. So we got Justin Boring and Chris Boring. They are our special guests. Let's give them a round of applause. We appreciate them being here. We appreciate them wanting to sit in. I invited them to sit in. I said, well, you're over here. You might as well just stay. And they've been here since like 5. By 7 o'clock, by 7 o'clock, I was ready to run them off.
I got here about 6, and I think Ryan had wore them both out by then.
I'm just playing. Ooh.
Yeah, talk about.
Listen, first time they've been here, and they're like calling Paul out for being late. Paul got here like 7:57.
It's all right. I pulled in right before he did.
He was right here. He was right on time. So, just discovered Tuesday live fishing. More, please. Yes, the next Tuesday live fishing next Tuesday will be Tuesday, and I plan on putting more fish in the boat than I did this past Tuesday.
Let's clarify. How many did you catch?
I caught 0.
How many did
Mr. Castleberry catch?
Joseph Castleberry, we were sitting there. He so graciously paid for some gas and so graciously paid for my breakfast at Waffle House. And I told him sitting at the Waffle House, I said, I promise you will catch a fish. A fish. I promise you'll catch a fish with me. Not many people get in my boat and go fish any lake and don't catch. Do not catch a fish. The first one he puts in the boat.
Yep.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's a decent one. It was like a 15-inch spot, just good little, nice little keeper, a good tug on the line. He unhooks that sucker and he throws it in the lake and he goes 1-0. He like it's nothing. And I turned and looked and I was like, oh, we're playing that game.
Yep.
I was like, we don't play that game on my boat. So
No.
And maybe that was what happened, was because then I presumed to get hung up, go to pop my shaky head loose. My leader line pops off that I had just retied the night before.
Yeah, it looked like you were tying more than you were.
I lost 3 total leaders when I got hung up on shaky heads Tuesday. After the second break off, getting hung in a rock, I sat there and I said, damn, this ain't gonna be my day. And it wasn't my day. I'll be the first one to admit
How
that
astute of you.
Tuesday was not my day.
Somebody brought
some
that
days
back.
you're the bug, some days you're the windshield.
Well,
you know,
well, some days you're the bug, some days you're the windshield. Let me tell you something. I was the bug that was getting squished underneath Jonathan Farmer's boot. That's exactly how I felt. So,
score tracker update.
and that's exactly. Thanks, Tim McGuire. Appreciate that, buddy. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna make sure. Listen, me and you ever go fishing together on one of your YouTube videos and stuff that you make, I'm gonna make sure to rub that in on you. The first one I catch. So, Tyler,
I noticed the first one that Joe put in the boat. You were sitting there retying, so he was sitting one spot, just able to cast and hit everywhere he wanted.
Well, I had the trolling motor on spot lock. I was like, it's on spot lock. I was like, throw wherever you want to throw. And by God, he did. Threw it everywhere.
Tyler says he
uses
uses straight fluoro now, so
We don't acknowledge what Tyler Meanix does unless he talks about moving baits. Anything else he says is just asinine. We love you. We love you. We love you, Tyler. Speaking of score tracker update, so this kind of will lead into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about tonight. Speaking of the score tracker update, I put a TikTok out last week on our page about this. And I've watched a few videos on it too from some well-known fishermen and some well-known national broadcasts. MLF, no longer every scoreable fish. 5 fish limits.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to be catch and release right there, but it's going to keep up with it. I saw a very interesting podcast Tuesday evening when I got home from fishing with Joseph. I watched Jacob Wheeler, Brandon Coulter, and James Watson sit down at some bar at Watts Bar and talk on them, just like we're sitting here talking with the podcast stuff set up. Brandon Coulter said this new way is going to be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what? I had to sit there. I had to rewind it. And I said, now hold on a second. He goes, this is going to be confusing to like even my mom. I said, you're going back to the way things have always been in terms of tournament bass fishing. How can that be confusing? Yeah. So you mean to tell me that y'all are so dead and dumbed down now from this MLF after 3 years of it that you don't know how to catch 5 fish? Yeah. The 5 biggest fish that you can catch in a day?
I think what they're going to have to quit doing is chasing these schooling fish like they have been doing.
Yep.
And they're going to have to start targeting
larger fish when it comes down to
yeah.
We're going to Mr. Power Fisherman over here.
There's 2-3 power guys
where you trying to catch. You're only fishing for 6 or 7 bites all day instead of 37 bites all day.
Right. And it's funny that they're sitting there making fun. They're sitting there talking about this, and Brandon's like, it's like this. Brandon's got 14 pounds, and he's got 3 3-pounders and a couple of 2.5-pounders, blah 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 or whatever. And then James is over here. He's got 15 pounds, and his smallest fish he's got in the live well is 3 pounds and stuff. You got Jacob Wheeler over here. He's got 5 4-pounders on the score tracker. And, you know, it's just like they're already sitting there. They're already sitting there, though, the way I see it. And you guys that follow us, you guys know how my stance is on a lot of this stuff. They're sitting there. They're 2 professional fishermen. They're already putting themselves behind the 8 ball in this situation, admitting to them straight up that Jacob Wheeler is a better fisherman than them.
Just by the way they
approach things mentally already. This is not, and this is just my opinion, and most of you guys that watch, y'all know, I don't know what you two guys' opinion over here is, but I will say this because we have not talked about this, but none of you guys know how I feel about MLF. I think the MLF is crap. I also think that, I said it just like it is. The MLF is crap. Secondly, if you were a professional fisherman and you were a professional in this sport, I could care less. I was going to say something different, and I'm glad I caught myself. I could care less how many fish you catch in a day. If you're a professional fisherman, I want to see the 5 biggest ones you can catch because you're already a professional fisherman. You're better than I am. Mm-hmm. It's a struggle for me to catch the 5 biggest that I can catch in any regular old tournament situation for me here on Lake Lanier. I mean, I get tickled shitless when I catch 14 pounds. I just put it to you like the way it is. I mean, excuse my French, but, you know, I've seen multiple podcasts, BTL, A couple other ones already since this dropped the week before last. This is utterly ridiculous that they think that this is going to ruin their division of the sport with the BPT.
Well, I know the way, ABA, we 5 biggest.
Mm-hmm.
How do y'all on the kayak? I know it's by measurements.
5 longest.
Five longest, exactly.
It's 5. And you get those other tournaments that are 3 fish, your Tuesday nighters or whatever, 3 fish. But how is it confusing? They don't even have to do what like the elite pros have to do, where they got to cull the fish, weight, and all that. It's already kept up on the score tracker. You just you go out and you catch your 30 or 40 fish, and they're going to keep your top 5. You don't have to adjust, deduct, pull out the scales and see which one you're calling out. It's already done for you. Yeah. How is it confusing? That's ridiculous.
And it's like this. It's like I've told Paul this before, since George here. He's a kayak guy. George, you fished pretty well this year in your kayak. What did you fish? What was it?
Georgia Kayak
Fishing League.
Kayak.
George fished very well. He was very consistent this season. What did you finish up in?
12th
place out of how many anglers was it? It was it's in the 30s. Ain't it?
It was. We probably had close to 35 consistent anglers.
Yeah, and 12th is nothing to. That's good. That's a good year. Great year.
And this is my first year fishing a full tournament trail where I dedicated myself to it. So I was very pleased with my outcome.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good. But see, but what I'm getting at, what I'm alluding to with that is the point of what I'm saying. Yeah, it's impressive to catch 20 pounds. It's a little bit more impressive to me to a certain extent from the kayak guys that you guys have to catch like 100 inches in 5 fish in order to be,
Yeah, that's a solid
100 inches is a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And but for you guys in the kayak game though, like for us normal, we'll consider us three normal.
Normal.
We're normal.
Is that what y'all are?
We're normal.
We don't need a paddle to move our boat around.
We don't either. I got a trolling motor on mine. I just hit the button.
Exactly. But exactly what everybody's commenting. I'm getting everybody fired up already. I love it.
Before it goes away, the Fishing US up a little bit, Paul, right there at the very top.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody's showing their age right there. When it used to be 10.
Yep.
Well, when I first started in the late 80s, there was a lot of the tournaments that you still weighed 7 fish.
Yeah. Well, see, I actually watched a podcast about this, and you know how that all came to be? Because at one time it was like 12 fish, it was 10, and then 7, and now 5. And the reason why is because those were you can keep in your live well. Mm-hmm. So as those regulations started adjusting down to 5, the health of the population stuff, the started down to the regulations work.
I do want to say this real quick, just because it just happened. Guys, I will say this: we apologize for the second week in a row. They're still doing maintenance on a lot of the cell towers around here for the router. Yeah, I don't know. Once we guys that watch that where the got low and choppy Gainesville. Over here, I cannot connect to Gainesville. I tried to connect to Gainesville today, and it will not let me connect to a cell tower that is in Gainesville. It will only let me connect to one running up and down 575 towards Atlanta. So the screen and stuff and the sound might be a little splotchy every blue moon here coming up. So we apologize for that, though, because I know you guys have gotten used to a nice clean stream, and it's out of our hands. Danny and I both called AT&T last week, and they gave Danny the exact same reason that they gave me when Danny wasn't here when he was in Tennessee. We're working on the cell towers over there. Great. When will they be done? It's going to be a few weeks. So your service is going to suffer from it. Okay, well, that's fantastic.
What I can't believe
we apologize, guys, though, for it being a little sluggish tonight. Again, I apologize. So
I've got a lot of family in South Georgia, and I'm talking it's rural down there.
Yeah.
And most of them have got fiber optic now, but yet heavily populated areas up here don't yet. That makes no sense.
Yeah, that makes
me.
zero sense.
That's because down there they can run it across flat ground where it's nice and easy.
Oh, it's
up there it becomes a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, we just the area I'm from down there, a lot of people consider that to be the Flatwoods of South Georgia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it is. You can stand in on the outskirts of town at night, and a little town called Searcy's 10 miles away, and you can see the caution light in the middle of town flashing 10 miles away. It's that flat.
Jeez Louise, that's awful. But yeah, guys, I did want to say that as before we continue on. We apologize for that. Hopefully it will be squared back away and back to normal here before soon. So yeah, but we appreciate you guys watching. And,
So I got a question,
so
or
what's your question?
a statement. Since we were talking about the MLF, and I brought this up to Paul earlier, what do y'all think about Keith Poche qualifying for both
Well, it's
out of an aluminum boat?
it's no different than what John Cox did a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. That right there, just out of an aluminum boat, to see where he goes and stuff, that impressed me. I'll be damned,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are griping about him being able to go through that cut where he did, and he won.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, put your boat where you can. I mean, if you want to ruin your fiberglass boat putting it in there, go ahead. But he was smart enough; he had a aluminum boat and could put it in there.
Yeah, and
There's no different than the tournaments over on Allatoona. There's certain times of the year that some of those guys have got jet boats.
Mm-hmm.
And go up the river when
they'll go up the river.
Others can't.
Mm-hmm.
Early spring.
There's a couple of
from now till
April.
April. Yeah, March,
and,
April.
and Jonathan, you and I both know somebody will take his fiberglass boat and run it up there with the best of them.
Nope.
I said we know somebody.
I know.
Will.
I won't. There's too much.
I don't see how anybody can bitch about what he does though, because the advantages that other people are getting with the fiberglass boats, you know what I mean? He's willing to take that disadvantage to be able to put his boat where he wants to be able to put it instead of being able to go 75 miles an hour across the lake.
Well, it may take him 15, 20 minutes longer to get to his spot, but once he gets there, he can put that aluminum boat where I can't put my fiberglass boat.
So that's going to lead into, this is good that we're doing this. So that's going to lead into what we're going to be talking about tonight. And that is, we're going to talk about practicing properly. Let's just say more like practicing efficiently. I have learned over the past year and a half, and this is not a knock on any of y'all by no means, but there are some of y'all who have like zero clue how to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this to be negative at all. I'm not. I want to see you guys do better. I got onto a thing, and I guess the reason why I learned how to practice some, and you see some of that with my Tuesday live fishing. I watched a little thing called Pro Patterns Exposed. If you want to borrow every single DVD, you can PayPal me for a rental fee. And I'll let you watch every one of them. No, I'm just playing. I have every single episode of Pro Patterns Exposed, a little video series that Timmy Horton and a couple other guys decided to come out with several years ago. And that alone, listening to the professionals talk about it, because the professionals are by far, hands down, the best at practicing. They are the best at finding fish for tournaments. Exactly what George said. That's why they are professionals. George hit the nail right on the head with that. So, with that being said, though, I studied those videos pretty hard, and I kind of learned how to practice. Now, I have heard through the grapevines and through personally on some stuff here in the past year or so that there's a guy, I found fish, and they nonchalantly talk during here in the shop. Yeah, I found some fish. I caught like 19 out of that hole. I was like, man, we're going to be good to go on Saturday. I'm like, whoa, hold on. You caught 19 fish out off that place? Yeah, I'd see how big every one of them was. I said, dude, what if there was 20 fish on there? I said, all you going to dang do is when you go back there the next day when the tournament is, you're going to sore lip their sore mouth. You're going to get one bite if you even get a bite. So it's I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm trying to back up and punt a little bit, but without trying to step on some toes. But if you want to be successful and you want to have some success, I by no means am not successful. I'll be the first one to admit that. But when I have found fish for tournaments, I've been able to go back during those tournaments and catch those fish again. Because simply from learning how to practice, learning what to do in those situations. And when I've got a multi-day event coming up, like a 2-day classic, for example, for a club, I know how to go get bites and leave them alone. And then I learn how to expand on it later when we come tournament time. You don't want to expand on something when you're practicing. When you find fish, you don't want to go, oh, they're eating a jig. Well, let's throw a dang Carolina rig down there to see if they'll eat that too. Oh, let's throw a crankbait down there to see if they'll eat that too. No, when you locate fish, leave them. Find out on tournament day whether or not what they'll bite. You already located what they'll bite with the first lure that you presented to them. Expand on that when you go back to the tournament. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I agree. And I had this conversation with Bob Allen earlier today, and we were specifically talking about Lanier. And y'all may agree, may disagree. It seems like Lanier, when I locate fish on Lanier, more times than not, if they're 1.5 pound, 2 pound fish, every one of those fish in that bunch is 1.5 pound, 2 pound.
Yes.
There might be a big one in there. But if I go somewhere and I locate 2.5, 3 pound fish, most of those fish that you catch are 2.5, 3 pounds.
Yes. Big fish and small fish tend to groom together.
So if I go in and I find, and Jonathan, I'm going to tell on us what we did last year.
Whatever.
Jonathan and I found a pattern on Allatoona last year. Well, we found an area of the lake that we knew we were not going to go fish, and it was slap loaded.
Whatever.
It was slap loaded with 2.5 pound fish, and we sat there for 6 hours and smallmouth those fish.
60, 70 of them in that one hole. Yeah.
Well done.
So whoever found that other
Whoever found that hole,
we hooked them up.
I don't understand why they're not biting today.
And we did find out.
and somebody come through there and shore lift every one of them.
We did find out after the tournament, somebody was mentioning where they went and fished at, and they didn't catch any fish after locating. So
I'll be damned.
we just laughed.
I just scratched my head and went, I don't know why they didn't bite in there today.
We were out plate, you know.
Yeah.
I was showing Dane a new technique.
And we knew we weren't going to fish.
This is how you get every fish sore lip so nobody else can catch them.
And even there on Allatoona, Jonathan caught one that was probably a little over 3, but the rest of those fish were pound and 3/4 to about 2 1/4,
a little over 3 on Allatoona.
Yeah.
What would be previously known as an Allatoona mag.
Not no more.
Allatoona.
Now it's not anymore.
No,
it's not anymore.
That's the one good fish that we caught with Bill last Thursday was a 3.5 pound spot. And it was the first fish, of course, gave us all high hopes.
I mean, Green Gorilla Hunter said just wing it.
Hell, that's what I did on Notley last Saturday.
It works.
It worked.
Well, some of y'all may agree. Allatoona, to me, other than a couple of times last year, I could go pre-fish, locate fish, and I'd go back to tournament day, and I couldn't find them. I don't know what it is about Allatoona, and it doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, whatever. It is so hard to pattern that lake.
I think a lot of it, and I could be mistaken, but the way Allatoona is such a river-based lake, that those fish are constantly moving back and forth. Where they're at 1 minute, you might catch them. You might catch them at the opening of a cove or the mouth of a cove or something like that. By the time you get back there, hell, that might not even be the same school of fish.
Yeah.
It may be a different, complete school moving through there that you're on.
Let me answer Michael Temples real quick. Is that why Joseph beat you, Ryan? You didn't want to sore mouth him? No. The reason why Joseph beat me the other day was because I couldn't get a damn hook in a fish.
Well, that is not a good way to catch it.
Yeah.
So I am a big enough man to admit when I suck.
Anyway.
So are you
Shut up, farmer. We're gonna take this to the court.
So are you telling us as a collective group that you have skunk on your boat?
God, thank God I got that thing.
I
out
don't
of my boat
believe
today.
in skunk. I don't believe in skunk.
You don't believe in skunk?
Mm-mm.
I do.
I don't believe in skunk.
Once you get that
I
foul
don't
smell
believe
in
in
your
skunk.
boat, it coming
I
out
don't-
for a
I don't
while.
believe in
knock
skunk.
on wood. It's been a hot minute since
Let
I've
me
had a
tell
skunk in the
you-
boat. It may only be one.
Let me tell you
Oh
why
my God,
I
it's
don't,
not a skunk.
let me tell you why I don't believe in skunk. This is why I don't believe in skunk. The reason why I don't believe in skunk is because today, the way you catch fish, more times than not, tomorrow will be a completely different scenario. That is why I personally don't believe in skunk. That also goes along with the old Gerald Swindle thing that I preach hardcore to myself about positive mental attitude.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't sit here and dwell on what happened today. I got tomorrow. If I wake up the next day, I got to worry about tomorrow. Today is done with.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I can do about today and how crappy, I almost said a different word I really wanted to say, but how crappy I fished today. I am not going to take that mentality into tomorrow because I believe 100% that if mentally, from a mental standpoint of in terms of bass fishing, just in general, that if you if you convince yourself to a certain degree that you cannot catch a fish on a certain bait, a certain technique, whatever, that you will mentally already put yourself behind the 8 ball, even if you go through the process of rigging that bait up to throw it.
Yeah.
If you already have self-doubt is a strong thing in bass fishing. And if you doubt yourself on much of anything that you do in terms of bass fishing, you're going to, even if you don't believe it for a moment when you're doing it, you will not put full effort into every single cast that you make with that bait.
Well, you and I've had this conversation. If you don't have confidence in what you got in your hand and throwing,
Yes,
don't throw it.
exactly. Jonathan,
Yes, sir.
what do you agree? What do you think?
Oh, I agree. If you're in a tournament situation, do not pick what you don't, or pick up what you don't have confidence in.
Yeah.
Pick your confidence baits up.
So what about
Go.
the practice situation?
Practice situation? I'll probably pick up something I don't have any confidence in just to see if they eat it.
Is that the reason why? Just to see if they eat it?
No, to get better at it.
Okay. All right.
Gain confidence in it.
Okay. What about you, George?
I agree. I think if you're not throwing something you have confidence in, you're going to pick up something that, you know, that you're hesitant about already. You're going to waste you're going to waste the next 10 to 15 minutes, however long you're throwing that bait. You're going to waste that time because you're not.
Don't look at the screen.
Don't look at the screen.
Are
Squirrel.
Are you sensitive?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Tyler. I believe that even kayakers were people.
We still pull in 20-pound bags. So, yeah. And it is not, it's not rare.
Believers.
Can't cover
Shun the non-believer. Shun. What movie was that from? I believe.
That's
blue collar.
that's blue collar. That's
Yeah.
That's it.
Ron White.
Yeah.
Yeah, blue collar comedy tour.
Kind of back up a little bit before you pick that bait up. If you're going to the lake to locate fish, what information do you want before you even make a decision of even where to go look?
Can you read upside down?
No.
Bullshit.
No.
I had that wrote on here. We were getting to that.
And even if I could read upside down, I couldn't read that right side up.
I
Well,
can't read that from over.
well, only high school education. That's high school education. That's about all I got. You know, I was educated, mama. I graduated number 279 out of 333 students in my senior.
So in other words, you're saying your diploma says thank you, Lordy.
They called my mom. I'm gonna tell you this real quick. They called my mom a week before graduation, and they said he has a $89 lunch bill that he has racked up in charges. Will you please come pay this? Because we really don't want to carry this over to next year. And my mom said, well, and she said, well, no, well, if he don't pay this, he ain't gonna walk. And we want him to walk. Very nicely is what my mom said. How they
We do
said,
not want him
to
back
walk.
here next
Basically,
year.
they said they didn't want me back.
Don't go away mad, just go away.
They knew that I had no more eligibility in basketball and baseball. They knew that my usefulness was over. Oh, I don't know.
But no, what I was saying though is if you're in a tournament situation, you pick up a bait that you don't have confidence in it. No matter how long you throw that bait, 10 to 15 minutes, whatever it is, you have wasted that 10 to 15 minutes on throwing something that you do have confidence in.
Yeah. And see, that's one reason why, like, y'all guys know me enough right here, and from a thing of a mental aspect of practicing to confidence and the mental game of practicing go work hand to hand together, in my opinion. If I get like one bite or two bites, maybe on a certain color jig or shaky head, I'm not probably going to throw that no more in practice, because one bite, and to my mind, the way I do it, one bite is a fluke. Two bites on the same color is a reason, because there's more than one fish that wanted to eat that. So I know there's going to be more than two fish that are going to want to eat that particular color or something. So mentally, I feel, okay, the green pumpkin purple trick worm on a shaky head is going to be good to go. I don't really got to worry about that no more the rest of the day. If I feel like throwing it the rest of the day, I will pick it up. But I don't have to sit there and be like, well, maybe they want this color. Maybe they want that color. No, I've already got in my mind that I feel like I can get bit on a green pumpkin purple trick worm. So I'm just going to continue to throw a green pumpkin purple trick worm. I think, and I make jigs, but I think a lot of people put themselves behind the 8 ball in terms of colors. I think colors are something, and I can make you all kinds of beautiful jigs. I can put anything you possibly dream of in one.
Yeah, we know you made Murphy's jig. Sorry, Murphy.
But
made the Murphinator.
The Murphinator. Alex Pierce watching.
Somebody's being a little incognito there with the, can you blame that? You know who Roy is, don't you?
Who is that?
That would be Mr. Michael Kinney,
is
a.k.a. Roy.
Oh, God. I'm changing his name in my phone. Mr. Roy Kinney. Not Roy D. Mercer. Well, how big a boy are you?
Come down there and put a couple pop knots on that head.
Yeah, that's right. What are y'all's okay, so let's go down here. We got some questions and some stuff like that and some comments that we need to get to. What are y'all's confidence baits for November? Let's go around the table. Start with you, Dane. Your confidence that you're going. You got a tournament Saturday and you're going to
I used to fall in the rut.
Okay. The wacky worm.
Well, everybody knows I love it.
That's a big rut.
But I think everybody here at the table will agree I can catch them on it.
Yeah.
But I used to fall into the rut of last November, this worked. And I would fall into the rut of, we're going to Carter's. I called them this way, da-da-da-da-da. And I would get there. Well, last year when we were there, the water temperature might have been 62 degrees.
Yeah.
And we're there now and it's 65 degrees. What was water temperature today?
About 65.
Yeah.
You fish?
Yeah, I went fishing today.
Yeah. 65 degrees.
I fish too.
Well, 3 degrees in temperature is going to make a difference where the fish are at. As well as last year, it was kind of a light stain. I'm not sure what the watercolor.
Crystal clear.
Yeah. So I used to fall in the rut of thinking what I did in years past. And Jonathan broke me of this 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Quit thinking about it before you even think about what you're going to fish with. And Jonathan kicked me in the butt. What's water temperature? What's water clarity?
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, I start thinking, where should the fish be?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do?
We got some great comments coming down.
But I also, Jonathan taught me this 2 years ago on Alatoona. When I go pre-fish, before I ever put a hook in the water, I'll turn on side scan and I might ride for 2 or 3 hours before I ever put a hook in the water
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that during practice or is that during the tournament?
during practice.
Practice tournament,
Yeah.
you're going to your spot
Yeah.
you think they're at,
Going for
and
it.
you're going.
And-
for
and
it.
there's
You've already
something-
got your plan.
We have some great questions. Keep up right here, Paul, because we're going to hit. Let's try to answer these quick though, because yeah, that's what. Let's get this quick out of the way here. What are your confidence baits in November?
Crankbait
Okay,
and a jig.
and a jig. Is that it?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, in November, I'm very dialed into the shad pattern. They're chasing shad. That's why I'm throwing a crankbait, jerk, something moving, crankbait, jerkbait.
But you said jig.
I do when I get around wood.
Mhm.
But then
If
you go,
I'm
I'm
going-
going
like,
focus
all
on
right.
shad. I'm just
All
trying to bust his
I know.
chops.
I know.
He's like crawfish, brim, and then shad.
Yeah, shad.
So-
No. All right, we'll take Notley for example. When I went to Notley this last weekend, I had not been to Notley in 4 or 5 months.
Lies.
No, I hadn't.
No, because I talked to him Friday night and he's like, I really
That's
don't
what's
know
been
what
wrong
I'm.
with him for the past
I-
couple months.
Mhm.
It ain't Lindsay.
I don't know what I'm doing at and being. I guess I'm gonna go do this. And if that don't work, I'm gonna go do this. And I'm like,
Well, I
what
said
do you
there,
got
I know
confidence in?
because Notley is my home lake, I know what conditions will put fish where.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to run up and hit a rock pile in a channel swing. That was the first deep water out of a creek.
Oh.
I went, if the bait's here, the fish are here. Well, I pull up with a square bill, make 2 casts, catch a 12-inch spot, barely got it. I went, well, maybe they don't want the hard knocking 1.5, so I pick up a Fritz Side 5 Junior. 3 casts later, a 3.5 pounder choked it.
It's all about that adjustment. You knew that they wanted something moving. You just had to make the adjustment.
And then
on the third.
within 30 minutes, I had three pounders in the boat, and was like, okay. So I hit it just right. But if I would have went up there and didn't catch anything, I'd been like, okay, I'll go to my next deep water, my next channel swing. Then I'd keep going down. But the jig comes in play because I'll cover a lot of water. My trolling motor's on high.
Yeah.
And I'm just cooking down the bank with a crankbait, just looking for them. Well, if I come up against a lay down or I see a brush pile or something, somebody's sunk, because Notley's down 12, almost 15 feet, or 12 to 15 feet. If I see a brush pile that's out in the water, I'll pitch my jig over into it, work it through it, see if anything eats out of it. Nothing. I just keep on going.
Yeah,
What about you, George?
and that's what he told me he was gonna do.
I'm underspin, jerk bait, and a jig.
Okay.
Yep. I want an underspin, something I can throw on the ground, deflect that blade off the rocks and stuff as I'm coming through.
On the ground.
Or
I
on the bottom. On the
If I
bottom.
throw mine on the ground.
I'm squirrel fishing. I'm squirrel fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I just busted your shot.
Game warden says, "Sir, I need to see your fishing and your hunting license."
Yeah. Yep. I like to pick them off the
Where's your
limbs.
squirrel sticker?
You got squirrel stamp this year?
Yeah, squirrel stamp. Confidence baits. Well, right now, let me get back to you on that, because everything I had confidence in Tuesday went down the shit pile. So let me get back to y'all next Tuesday on live fishing, and I'll let you know what my confidence lures are.
His confidence lures right now is sticking dynamite in the cast net.
Let me tell you something. I seen so many fish Tuesday, like underneath the boat. I was just like, what the hell are they doing? Why? What are they doing? I was like,
Yeah.
why are you out here? Why are you in 27 feet of water, 10 feet under my boat? What are you doing?
I'm not
saying
nothing.
How do you know? Shut up, farmer. How do you know if it's the bait or the area? And that's terms of colors, I guess, is what he's talking about. So for me personally, though, and like I said, I am not the best at all by no means whatsoever. But I don't think that deep into it. If I get bid on a color, I feel like I can get bid on it anywhere else.
And if you want the area, sit down, look on your map, find another similar area, and go see if they're there.
Yeah, you can do that for sure. In terms of practice, and
It's not-
stuff.
to me, it's if you find a color that's working, it's the structure around it also. And then finding the same areas like that, and that same color is going to work, should work in those areas.
Now, if the watercolor changes, the color may change, or water clarity, should I say?
Jeremiah's got a couple good statements, I guess is what it's to say. He said, I understand scanning for practice, but the conditions change so much and spotted bass move so much. I don't know how much good practice is actually going to do to you. Well,
Mr. Farmer.
Farmer, you go ahead and do this because I've got about 5,000 examples, and we'll be here all night where I can debunk the piss out of that.
You can go practice, yes, and spot bass are going to move.
Spot bass.
Spotted bass, is that better?
Yes.
No, stick to your guns.
Spot bass.
Stick to your guns. Spot bass.
Spot bass.
Okay, rock.
No. All right. This time of year, the fish become nomadic. They get spread out. There's fish from 2 foot to 80 foot. If you're in Carter's Lake, I saw bait today on the bottom in 150.
Good old Will.
Do me, baby.
So when I go to lakes like that,
They're upstairs,
like Carter's, that does not have a thermocline and does not position my fish, Carter's will flip, will turn over, but it's not like your normal turnover of other
such
lakes.
as Lanier, Chateau.
Yeah, because when it turns over, the water on the bottom is just as oxygenated as the top. So the fish will stay deep, and bait will stay deep and stay there. So if you will take Fisher, for example, if I idle back in Fisher Creek and I see bait there, that's not going to move 3 miles up the lake. It's going to be somewhere in Fisher. So if I go in there and I scan around for practice and find fish on them, all I have to do for the tournament is maybe idle 200 yards further back or 200 yards further out. And once I find the bait again, the fish are right with them again. So practice in that aspect will help you as far as spots go. Now largemouth are very predictable this time of year. Go in your creeks, your first deep water in a channel swing bank, any type of wood, any type of boulder rock where they can sit there and stage and wait for the bait to come to them. That was what Notley was. Every fish I caught on Notley was in a channel swing on a big piece of rock or a wood where they were sitting there facing they were actually facing the sun towards the sun, and the bait was coming to them.
Fantastic.
It's good information.
So seriously,
but once you find the bait and you find what those fish are eating, it might not be the exact same location, but
it's not like the summertime where you've got to idle and find 100 brush piles and only 20 brush piles will be productive. The other 60 won't have a fish on them.
They don't. I mean, I will take this from example from Tuesday. This is and you guys couldn't really. I mean, y'all may have heard me say this that watched it, but I made a couple of comments, and Joseph, if he's still watching, he can reiterate this as well. I made a couple comments to the fact that. Thank you, Paul. I made a couple comments to the fact that I seen some areas where I didn't see any bait, and we fished a couple of places where we didn't see any bait. However, there was a couple of those places, and even though we didn't waylay on them at all, by no means, because we did not Tuesday. What you didn't always see was that I got bumped in some places where I didn't find bait. Those are resident fish. And resident fish, when you find areas where there are resident spotted bass, when the bait comes back, it just makes it TNT 101. When the bait comes back, the bait ain't wandered too far away. They're just not exactly what? Oh, he said something. I didn't know what he said. Bush. Yeah, that's what he said.
I switched to Millie.
Okay.
It's a
Oh.
little pilsnery.
Oh,
By
okay.
comparison.
I like
Okay.
Millie.
Okay.
I'm a Millie fan.
Paul's changed beard.
Turn my
So,
nose up to that one.
Anyway, but there are some instances exactly like with what I agree with you, though, both of you for 100% on. This time of year especially, the bait don't move as far as people think it does. It still stays in the same general area. If it wants bait this time of year, whether it's herring, whether it's anything else, the bait generally, when they make a commitment to moving into one of these creeks, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be on the same point. They may not be in the middle of the creek channel. They may not be out in front of these docks,
But they're
in that creek.
same general area.
They're in that same general area. We got a lot of comments I see right here. Is Paul's one now?
No, I'm going to scroll.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I wanted to re-show that one and then lead into the commenters who put their stuff up there.
So last week with LJ on here, I heard him mention that once, like when you start ditch fishing, when the ditch bite really comes into effect,
Mhm.
that those fish that are in the ditch will keep a ball of bait inside that creek.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
They'll
true?
keep it pinned back there.
for like the entire winter.
Months.
Okay,
Till they
Ryan
completely
and
go
Decimated.
through him.
Yeah.
Ryan and I found a pattern, and the brothers over here heard us talking about it earlier. And if Ryan wants to tell what that was, so be it. Found a pattern on Lanier in early November of last year.
Okay.
In a couple of different creeks. Those two creeks, that pattern held up till mid-February.
Yes. Yes.
February.
Yes.
You could go in that creek,
Mm-hmm.
or those creeks, it was two of them, and it didn't matter if it was bright, sunshiny, cloudy, whatever. You could pull up, put your boat here, throw there,
And it was fire.
You're gonna get bit.
and Jonathan knows what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
It was every single time. And in the ABA Open,
I'm not gonna bring that bad juju up, but you're gonna bring it up.
I'll bring it up. I lost the fish that I'd have won that tournament with.
Mm-hmm.
I lost
Oh,
an
that's
absolute. No, I had a witness that was fishing with us
He lost
that
one. That was a
saw
double
me
digit.
lose that fish, and it was
He lost a double digit at the boat.
On the mirror?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a striper.
And she was seen. She was seen not too long ago. Later, about a month or so later, spawning.
it was one of them that the guy that was fishing against us. He was coming. I was fishing a certain area. He was fishing docks, and he was going to turn and go the other way. And I told him, I said, "Hey man, I'm fishing here. You're fishing docks. Come on." And as he got up close, I hooked that fish, and he backed off. Real nice guy. And I lost that fish, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I need to sit down for a minute." He said, "I know this ain't gonna make you feel no better." He said, "Hands down, that is the biggest bass I have ever seen in my life." And it was a double-digit fish, but
I know that feeling.
yeah, I
Yeah.
sat down for about
I'm not
15,
trying to
20
make it
minutes,
worse,
just
but
ready to.
That's the biggest bass I've ever
I
seen.
got some salt here.
So,
Rub that salt in that wound.
so I was fishing earlier this year, and I hooked into an 8-pounder, which would have been my personal best by far. And I know it was an 8-pounder. I saw it. I had it all the way up to the boat. Stephanie standing on the back of the boat watching. I reached down to grab it, and when I did, my hand slipped out of the mouth. It started shaking, and it shook the hook right out. Like my fingers were on it. I dropped my rod and tried to reach both hands in and grab it. And I just sat there for a little while with my arms in the water looking. She looks at me. She's like, "Are you going to cry?" I was
I
like,
might do it.
yeah, I might. I might.
Thinking about it, right?
Yeah, I'm contemplating it while my arms are still dangling in the water.
Well, wasn't it right after you hurt your back, you decided not to run anywhere, and you had another one do that to you? That was every bit.
I
Of,
couldn't set the hook on.
Yeah. It was every bit of 9-10 pounds.
Yeah, not near as big as that one on Lanier. I got one 13.2 on the wall at the house.
So for all those that say that Lanier doesn't have big largemouth.
Oh, this was on
I
Carter's.
got one 13 too, and this one's not quite that big, but darn close.
Hmm.
And Justin Timmy's been in the boat with me when I told him up there on Lanier, there's a giant back here, and one over 10 pounds swims out from under the log, and I thought he was going to jump at the back of the boat and try to molest the fish. But anyway,
You'll see a legit double digit out of Lanier in the next 2 years.
yeah.
Jeremiah Giles's comment right there. If you were catching them on a buzz bait on Wednesday up shallow and a fall cold front comes through overnight, now you're fishing for suspended bass by Friday. Wrong, sir. You're absolutely wrong. You may think that that's the case. However, the only time that is going to come into play is when the bait moves away from the way that you were catching them.
Mhm.
However, personal experience on this, I have found fish that were catching them on a buzz bait in October. The bait left and pulled off about 50 yards off the bank because a cold front come. And guess what the damn bass were doing? They were still roaming up and down the bank.
Looking for the bait.
They were still looking for the bait.
Mhm.
And they actually crushed the buzz bait harder
Because they were searching.
because they were searching still.
They were hungry.
They don't just like, oh, they move, the bait's moved, let's go. It don't work that way.
Mhm.
They don't typically do that.
And
Spotted bass are so aggressive, and they're so, dare I say it, hard-headed to an extent, that they cover so much water so fast that them being in one area for a couple hours as they've been used to it, because it's been that way for a few days, if the bait moves 50 yards off the bank, they go, oh, well, I guess they're not coming, so let's go out here to where they are. Because I've seen it, as Paul would say.
Well,
I've seen them move like that. But that doesn't mean that they just don't.
Chomping at the bit.
It don't happen. You're trying in the fall of the year, unlike in the middle of the summer. In the fall of the year, you are trying to take advantage with moving baits as best as you can, whether it's a topwater, whether it's a row trap, spinner bait, chatter bait, crankbait, don't matter. You are trying to take advantage in the fall of a bass's inherent nature, especially a spotted bass, of a bass's inherent nature to want to feed, gorge.
Yeah.
And they know that the bait is moving, and they know that the bait is active this time of year because the water temperature is falling.
Yeah.
They know that just by nature, they know that it's time to move. And typically, if something swims by me fast enough, well, it's probably something I shouldn't let get away. So that's just being said with that.
I'll ask you, would you agree or disagree? I've seen cold fronts fire them up, but I've also seen cold fronts shut them down.
Absolutely. Before 2 weeks ago, before that cold front moved in, fish were on fire. Cold front moved in, still really good. After the cold front went away and it warmed up last week, it killed it. Like I couldn't
take over, Dane.
I couldn't get fired off for nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I caught fish trying to fire up schools and stuff like that, one or two here and there, but it was single fish, even out of schools. It was just a single fish here and there.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Jonathan, agree or disagree with that comment?
I agree with it. My thing is you've got two different types of cold fronts at this time. Or you've got the fall cold fronts that's making the water temperature drop.
Yep.
It's going to fire them fish up even more to make them feed more for their winter haunts. All right.
Yep.
When they pull off into their winter haunts, they just sit there and wait for something to come to them. It's going to push fish shallower most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, there was an instant when we went to Eufaula, we had that massive cold front come through. We went from a high of like 82 the day before, and then the next day the low was below freezing.
Yeah. And windy.
Yeah. All right. It pushed those Florida strain largemouth off out of the shallows.
Yep.
Made it harder for the shallow fish. Now the deep fish, those boys that knew where the deep fish were, didn't affect them that much.
Well, the water's not going to change that fast.
But a lot of times in the fall, your first or second big cold front that comes through will actually fire those fish off into a feeding frenzy more and group them up more than, say, your springtime cold fronts. You're on a springtime bite. Your spring bite's awesome. You've got them up shallow and 5 foot on a square bill, and you're wrecking them every other cast. Cold front comes in, it's going to knock them back to the first deep water.
Yeah.
All right. Another question, Jonathan.
Mhm.
Cold fronts and things of that nature. Which does it affect more? Largemouth or spot?
Largemouth. Largemouth, hands down.
Why do you think?
Why do I think it
Mhm.
affects largemouth?
Yeah.
I don't know, or I don't know the difference
That's
between
what I was
biology.
getting. That's what I was getting at. I don't know either, and that.
But
I agree with
I will because your largemouth, I think, tend to feed shallower
Year round.
year round than your spots do. Now, Lanier and these herring lakes are a whole different concept because now you've got these largemouth going out here roaming with spots, eating herring, chasing herring. So that's a whole different thing. You may now catch largemouth after a cold front in these deep
In
30
30 foot of water.
30 foot of water
Yep.
fishing for spots after a front. But your largemouth usually stay shallower. The high pressure of the front after the front comes through affects those shallower fish a lot more than, say, your fish that are down in 30, 40, 50 foot of water. They don't even know a front's really come through.
Yeah.
They just know something's changed. The bait's moved, something's not right. They've moved with them. But your shallow fish shut down.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Cold fronts.
Just
Cold
cold
fronts.
fronts and
What it affects more, largemouth or spotted
spots
bass?
and
Largemouth.
Yeah.
Always.
yeah, we
99.99% of the time.
yeah. There's a group that fishes with us and on ABA that there was a cold front come through and they had to cancel a tournament up at Chattooga because it was cold. So they all decided they were going to load up and go to Oconee. And they had a pretty rough day because it was one of them.
Oconee's a rough fishery,
Yeah.
anyways. I mean, unless
they
you know,
were.
Oconee's a dock fishing lake.
It's, and I'm talking, it was one of them cold fronts last year that bad.
Dropped it down in the teens.
Florida strain.
Florida strain hate
Florida
cold
strain
fronts.
hate
Yeah.
5 degrees cooler today than when it is yesterday. I can't stand that crap. Let's see here. Ron, did y'all talk about Ron's comment there?
We were coming down.
Fall cold
Mhm.
fronts seem to hit the fish less until the water temperatures get to the low 50s in the spring. You get one and it can kill your day. Spring is a completely different scenario. And that's because mama has eggs inside of her. That is like completely different scenario there with that in terms of especially largemouth. Spotted bass too, to a certain extent. Some of the, there ain't been too many of them. One of the funnest days I've ever had on Lake Lanier was in pouring down snow.
We fished one on Carter, was it 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my best days
And
I've ever had on
I think
Carter's.
it's just because of the barometric pressure change of different things and the
Right.
conditions of the snow. I know farmers about to say rain, but snow and sleet, for instance, I think the conditions have to be, the barometric pressure and the conditions in the sky have to be just so perfect for that to happen here.
Well, it was
That it affects the fish to an extent to where they're just plain stupid.
well, it was so cold that day and the moisture and everything. I was throwing spinning reel and it ruined my braid on my spinning reel.
Freezing.
Kept freezing. My eyes were freezing. But it was just one after another. After another.
Yeah.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's probably my best day ever on Carter's.
If it's snowing, I'm either going to Parksville, Carter's, or Blue Ridge.
You won't catch me on Parksville anymore. I ruined the prop on Parksville.
Let's see.
Brian Marcos in there.
Yeah,
like
Paul's upstairs moving his car because of Justin and Chris are leaving. They're headed to their hotel. So he's moving his vehicle, so we can't pull up the comments at the moment.
But we were talking about your barometric pressure with your snow and stuff like that. It's the same thing with the rain and prefrontal. When the barometric pressure drops and all that pressure, and you got a little bit of wind, and you ain't got any, the barometric makes it low. The fish are feeding.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely gorging themselves. So in the next couple of days, when you got that really high pressure.
Mhm.
When I really know it's high, you'll see the little sticks and the pine needles and everything standing straight up and down.
Yeah.
That means the pressure's as high as it can go.
I never pay attention to that crap.
If I see that, and I love to stay.
That's the redneck barometer.
Yeah, I love to stay 15 feet, 15 foot and shallower.
When the pressure's up.
No, or when anytime. I love to stay 15 foot shallower, but when I see that,
People think I fish shallow.
I move out.
Okay. Back out in the deeper water.
Mm-hmm. Because those fish right there are more affected by that high pressure than the fish out there in 30 foot.
If me and Farmer fish together, nobody would stand a damn chance. Because if we have to move, if we had to absolutely move,
I don't know.
if we absolutely had to move offshore and fish offshore, Farmer, I got it, buddy. It's all good. Shallow, it's like two titans going up at it. And I'll say this to an extent because I am humble. He's a better shallow water fisherman than I am. He is. He's a better shallow water fisherman than I am.
Mm-mm.
Why you say that?
Well, he's kind of humble. With ABA last year, as many people fish ABA, he did end up 18th in the country in the end.
Up 18th in the
Yeah.
country.
He mentioned it.
That's
He's humble.
Let's hit this real quick. So,
Talk about Brian's.
I fish electric, and our tournaments have a one week off limits and a 2 weeks for our classic. Does practice even matter that far ahead of a tournament? Yes, absolutely, 100%. It does matter.
Especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in the fall when we talked about those nomadic fish.
Yep.
I mean, they're roaming and everything, but they're feeding up for the winter.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to get down in there, settle their bellies in the bottom, and just sit there,
Yep.
wait for bait to come to them.
Okay. Jason Glaze texted me. Jason Glaze Ministry.
This time of year, if you find bait in a creek, like I said, with like any other lake, if you find bait in a creek 2 weeks before your tournament, that bait's not going. It's going to be somewhere close. They may not be in the same spot you found them. They may be 300 yards further back in the creek, or they may be 300 yards and they're sitting at the mouth of that creek instead of 3/4 of the way back. But that bait's going to be there.
Yeah.
I always think that practice on any lake is always a good thing.
Well,
But they're not going to be. If you find that bait in the creek,
Mhm.
yes, they're going to move a little bit. But that bait, there might be a different bait at the dam, but it's not going to be that same bait. And those fish that was on that bait in that creek you found are not going to be on that water bait at the dam.
Mhm.
You know, they're going to.
you've got to figure out where those fish are at that day. But if you go and practice and at least see that there's life in that
It gives you
area,
some information to go on.
Any kind of water, what you're talking about right there, information. Anytime, even if it's a week beforehand, anytime you can go to a place a week beforehand or even 2 weeks beforehand and you can go practice and go fish it and you pull in there and you're like, damn, they ain't nothing in here. Then most likely in 2 weeks, there ain't going to be nothing in there either.
And that's what I was going to get at earlier when you were talking about not catching anything the other day.
Yeah,
You got information.
I did.
Mhm.
You got information of what not to do.
I know not to go above Sardis.
You know, but it's
Don't
still,
go.
if you're
Unless you're
pre-fishing
Dane
for a tournament, that is information.
It is.
Because if you
I'm
wouldn't
not
have
gonna
gone,
Well, see,
that might have been the first thing
told-
that you did.
I told Joseph that. I said, I've got East Hall next Saturday. I said, I know we're doing this live fishing. And I said, and I'm curious to see how many people continue to watch the live fishing. And y'all seem to enjoy it. Those of you that watch it, y'all just love it to death for some reason, even whether I'm catching them decent or not.
we love to look on Ryan's face when all of us start to tell him what to do.
Yeah, I know, right? How many times do I do it?
Mega Bass 110.
Said, boy, this is the dead sexy group tonight. It sure is.
I've got an answer for that kayak comment.
What's the kayak?
What's the kayak comment?
How would you practice for electric only in kayaks? They actually have the entire lake too, but it is separated by boat ramps. pick your poison. If you want to say, for Paul, he wants to go into Bald Ridge, and he.
I actually don't like to tournament fish in Bald Ridge, even though it's home.
I know. But what I'm saying is, if you go into Bald Ridge, you scan around in that creek, and the bait's just non-existent. The fish are suspended. There, you see them in 70 foot. You're over 70 foot of water, and you see them fish suspended in 30, which are some of the hardest fish to catch because they're just not active. They're not doing nothing. They're just sitting there.
Like the kiwi come in.
Well, if he or say he packs up and he decides to go all the way up past Gainesville Marina and go into Wahoo, and it's just loaded with bait. Well, there's his starting spot.
Yeah,
he's going to spend his whole tournament in Wahoo.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've actually been in a kayak tournament. I've packed up in the middle of the day and said, "This ain't getting it done," and I went on Eufaula. I started out by the dam, and it was windy, 3 foot white caps, and I'm in a pedal drive kayak.
Some size gators I saw down there, you wouldn't catch me in a kayak.
Hey, I saw one. I can show you a picture. But I left there. It was about 11:30 when I left down by the dam, and I went up to Root Creek or whatever it is on the north end of Eufaula.
Mm-hmm.
And with the 2 hours I had left to fish, I put 3 fish in the boat, and I wasn't catching anything down by the dam. And on the next day, because it was open, it was a 2-day tournament. I started out there, caught my limit. Speaking of gators, on the way back out of the little creek I was in, there was a 12.5-foot gator laying on the bank that decided to come out of the water.
Did you pet it?
Oh, hell no.
They killed a 17.5-footer, a bigger one, while the week we were down there before we were there.
That's a slug.
Killed 2 cows and a dog, and they shot it.
You ever watched that show?
That thing's as big. That's almost as big as my boat.
17.5 foot.
That's almost as big as my boat.
Wow,
My boat is 18.5 foot long.
Is that's got to be a state record, isn't it? 17.5 foot?
No.
Really?
It's almost like 20.
Yeah.
The state record gator?
Years ago, I was fishing down on Eufaula, and I flipped over a tree. Well, about the time my line hit the tree, it swam off, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
The tree swam off.
We are. I can't say it. Damn it, I can't say it. Y'all have to watch the TV show next year to find out. I can't wait.
All right,
We're going gator hunting.
JR Outdoors.
Oh, you just said it.
We're going gator hunting, guys. We're going to Louisiana.
Are we going noodling?
No, I don't know if we're going noodling, but I do know we're going gator hunting.
All right,
I know 100% because Danny said I got to shoot it.
JR Outdoors. He's
Shoot it,
practicing for the high school tournament on West Point tomorrow. Any
I
tips?
just read that.
What is it?
So we're going to answer this question.
There it is.
We're going to answer this question, and we're going to go back up to old Maddox or whatever. He asked about kiwi too.
Kiwi.
So let's answer this question. Practice for high school tournament at Lake West Point. Any tips? I've
heard one thing about West Point recently, and that is that it is as brutal as brutal can be.
Yeah, I follow Ronnie Garrison on Facebook. I've known Ronnie 25 years. 30 years, God. We fished the old Spalding County Bassmasters together, but he had a tournament on there a couple of weeks ago.
like 9 pounds one.
It was he if Ronnie says it's brutal as well as he knows West Point, it's
Ronnie fishes.
brutal.
Ronnie basically fishes 3 to 4 days a week
Mhm.
because that's his job.
He's got that little slide in that he runs around in.
Yeah,
And
Ronnie can catch fish out of a mud hole.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
He can catch fish out of.
I would say look for bait and yeah.
I would cover as much water as you possibly can.
I had success.
West Point is mostly largemouth.
Yeah.
That's debatable.
Well, I'm just saying,
Try square bill around.
find you some riprap and some channel swings with wood on them and tie you on a flat-sided square bill and a regular square bill and just cover water.
There
Yep.
you go. There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
I had
Because that's
I
what
had
I did.
good
That's
luck
what I
out
did
there.
on Eufaula.
I had good luck out there on West Point a few weeks ago throwing top water around
LJ is such a
blowdowns on the main lake. So, like throwing a spook around blowdowns on the main lake areas.
Mm-hmm.
I had luck coming off the edge of those.
a lot of times, if you find a fish with a square bill, and this is what I'll do actually in a tournament situation because he's seen me do it. I will go down a stretch of bank and I'll catch 2 fish off that stretch of bank. Okay. Well, between those 2 fish, I will turn that boat around and go right back up it with a follow-up bait and pick off 4 or 5 more. Because I'm a firm believer the bigger fish are going to eat the reaction bait before they eat the finesse bait.
Yeah.
Heaven.
So if I go down that bank and I catch 2-3 pounders going down that bank, I can turn around and flip a jig or a hunter special, a wacky rig, right on front of them trees and let it go down in there and usually pick off 4 or 5 more in that stretch because there's fish there. The fish have shown themselves that they're there. So don't be afraid to go down a stretch of bank and go, okay, I covered that stretch of bank, crank up and leave. Turn that boat around, go right back up it. I was on Eufaula when we were on Eufaula during nationals. I'd go down a stretch. I fished the same stretch of bank for 3 days. I would go up it, then come right back down it. And I actually threw in one tree and caught a 5.5, which was my big fish of the week. I fired in that same laydown, same cast 10 times, and he ate it on the 11th.
Yep.
Square bill. So this time of year, don't be afraid to make that cast 10, 11 times. Because you know they're there. You just got to get him to fire off.
Oh, my Lanta. Look what LJ just said. West Point.
LJ's flipping? What the heck? Somebody check, make sure something's...
I'm a little.
How do you flip with a drop shot?
I'm a little.
That's
That's a pitch.
Yeah, that's a pitch,
little,
not a flip.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked right now. Kiwi. Who's off his Kiwi? Oh, hell.
I'm out on Kiwi.
Oh, man. All right. Kiwi is my home water. Lanier, more like Kiwi or Hartwell. Lanier is more like Hartwell. Kiwi is kind of his own little monster, own little mini monster. Them fish they're geared a little differently. Them spot bass are up there on there.
Bass.
The sad thing about Kiwi is, and I don't know if it's 100% true or not, but I've been told by a very reliable source that it is the case. You can't fish the hot hole anymore at the nuclear plant. They've got it roped off in the water with buoys that are connected. So you can't go fish the hot hole anymore.
So it's got a discharge on it.
It's got a nuclear discharge on
It's
it.
the same thing in Chickamauga.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. I know the handful of times I fished Kiwi, it's always been and it's always, for some reason, it's always in the spring. That's jerkbait heaven. There are so many little bitty points on that lake. It is not even funny.
Mm.
I mean, it is ridiculous how many little points and stuff and fingers are on that little lake. And we pretty much, every time we go up there, we throw tons of jerkbait. But I heard that, Ryan's what the hell Jay just turned Ryan on. Yeah, exactly. I don't love flipping. I ain't farmer. I'll flipping bait. Oh, it's all flipping bait. I don't like flipping bait too terribly much unless I'm like on a place with some thick matted grass, but that's just me. Listen to him. Look at him. Get that on camera. He's like,
He got a grumpy face.
listen, I'll just be honest with you.
I skip docks more than I flip.
I'll just be honest with you. I will say this when we talk about practicing. When you fishing to your strengths or your weaknesses for a tournament in the practice situation. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I'd like to have a discussion on that, Farmer. What's the best small jerk bait excluding the Vision 110 Junior and what is he saying?
Pointer 78.
The Pointer 78. The Kicker Eater is the best by far. The Kicker
That they
Eater
don't make
90
anymore.
SP that they do not make anymore. Shout out to Chase Key. He's my boy. He found me some.
So you're gonna give them the best jerk bait is one that's not in production
I'm
anymore.
still trying to figure out.
Way to
what
really
Farmer's
give the
talking
juice
about.
out.
Well, I mean, listen.
Jeremiah.
They talking about flipping.
Listen, It's something that I keep under my hat. Okay, so it is what it is. God, that jerkbait, I fish any damn jerkbait on the market. It'll slap a Vision 110 in the mouth.
Ron says the Evergreen FA
will.
series.
It will. And that's kind of what the kicker eater is modeled off of, because the kicker eater was made by Evergreen. But it's a 90 millimeter. And it weighs a half ounce. What? Stacy 90 is. I love a Stacy 90 in cold water.
Stacy 90.
Because the action on the Stacy 90 in cold water is just it comes down and it goes.
It wobbles as it says.
All right.
And it doesn't do a whole terribly.
Is somebody drunk tonight?
Who?
Second comment from the bottom.
Don't be fooled. I was a river fisherman for years. No, I've actually heard some stories about LJ. Actually,
I believe LJ could outfish me any day of the week. I just like giving him hell because he likes that
LJ
fairy rod.
LJ don't fish tournaments, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you,
I know he can catch fish.
LJ has told me a few stories about his tournament days. Dude, listen. He don't just drop shot into Mickey.
I know he don't. I know he don't.
He don't. He told me a story about he told me a story about a particular piece of plastic that he threw on the bottom at one particular place with another person who sometimes watches the show, Mr. Brent Kessler, one time, and they had like 17 something pounds at a Hammond's tournament. And they walk back up to the ramp and stuff and put the boat up, and they weigh in, and everybody keeps weighing in. And everybody weighs in 10, 11, 12, 13, 10, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. LJ and them got like 17 something pounds. Jimbo comes in and he says, "What's leading?" And LJ says, "Well, actually, we are. We got 1756 or whatever it was." He goes, "Oh man." He says, "Let's see what I got. I got close to that." Puts it on scale. He ends up beating LJ by like 0.41. He goes, "Oh, by the way," and LJ had big fish at the time. He goes, "Oh, by the way, dude," he's at the last place right out here. He said, "I throwed a jig out there. Oh, this brush pile." He said, "That damn 6-pound largemouth ate that thing on the way down."
It was the last on the way back.
It was the last cast.
I heard him tell that story.
You tell that story?
Yeah.
Oh, God, here we go. Oh man, hot girls! Woo! Hot girls.
They were on the national professional live broadcast. The weigh-in earlier. The hot girls were.
They made it.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeremiah does.
LJ, I'm just messing with you.
Jeremiah does have a pretty good point. Paul probably agree with that about throwing some massive swim baits. If you don't catch her, at least you'll see some. And you'll come back. You can come back to fish. You will see fish with big swim baits. Mm-hmm. Big swim baits are great search tools for the spring during the pre-spawn to spawn. They're great, absolutely great search baits. And you can kind of pattern them a little bit with a swim bait too in certain scenarios come in where you can throw that thing.
You might have pigeonholed that time frame a little bit much.
Huh?
You think just pre-spawn to spawn?
No, no, Paul. I was just saying it's definitely a good tool for the pre-spawn to spawn, because if you got one that swims out of a blowdown or got one that swims out of out from underneath the dock on a big old swim bait, you got that fish's address. Exactly what Paul said. Mm-hmm. She's near when you come back the next day. Say the tournament's tomorrow, and you can come back to her. She's going to be somewhere close. She ain't going to be too far.
Kind of like the last one, we went up there and pre-fished, and we had a bunch of them that we didn't have trailer hooks on, and they kind of showed themselves, and we knew where to go back.
Yeah. Let's see. Bevy shad is my fall. What the hell is that? Does anybody know what a bevy shad is? Mm-mm. Kurt has some weird shit he throws, dude.
He finds all those custom lures.
He commented on my live the other day. He's from Florida. So
how do you get to be a damn Dodger fan?
Because the Dodgers had spring training in Florida. That's why he's a Dodgers fan. Kurt is my friend, and me and him have had multiple discussions about this.
Kurt is my friend.
All right, Kurt, is that who
Well,
makes that?
who-
And
That's a lucky craft.
It's a lucky craft.
oh, is it 11?
It's a lucky craft. Let's see. Let's see here. It's a shad wrap type lucky craft bait.
I think Harmon's had one or too many margaritas during Taco Thursday.
How many did you drink at Palapas, or what did you do? How many Diet Dews was Palapas serving up tonight? You get a little twisted on us tonight, Farmer. So, with that, hold on one second before we round this thing out here for the last 30 minutes. I do want to hit one more thing here. I do want to mention one more of our fine sponsors here, J&S Contracting and Elite. Huh? We don't have a thing for that yet because I have not spoke to Skinner. We'll talk about that after.
You got the Elite Landscaping.
I got the Elite Landscaping one. So J&S Contracting and Elite Landscaping and Pressure Washing Services, LLC. Jason Sayers is the owner. You can contact him at 706-816-2049. That is Elite Landscape and Pressure Washing Services. And Jason, if you're watching or you watch this at a later date, I need a non-PDF version of J&S Contracting Service serving the Lake Country for 23 years with all your new home and remodeling builds there. J&S Contracting, Jason Sayers. And a fun fact about Jason that I think I failed to mention last week, because last week was his first first week sponsoring. Jason is a fisherman. He will be fishing the Toyota Series in 2023.
Cool.
So,
oh no, you mentioned that.
Oh, did I mention that? I couldn't remember.
I remember.
Thanks, George. I
Yeah,
appreciate you, buddy. Thank
hey.
you for reminding that.
I watch them all the time.
It
May not be on Thursday nights.
Oh God, what are we talking about? How are we talking about Bronson all of a sudden? Bronson ain't even here. My partner, he's a joke.
Ouch.
I love my partner to death. So J&S Contracting and Elite Landscaping and Pressure Washing Services. Again, you can contact them for any of your new home building needs or remodeling services, or if you need to get that landscaping done. Hey, I hate blowing leaves. Can't stand it. I just take the lawnmower and cut them up like multiple times.
Oh God, I can't stand that.
You can't stand that?
I hate that. If
I
I'm looking out
cannot
across
blow
my
leaves.
yard and I see a bunch of little chopped up specks of leaves in my grass, I will.
Don't come to my house no time soon.
For my yard,
You
I
will
will
be
spend 3 hours blowing the leaves
You'll be royally
and get
pissed.
all the little specks of leaf out.
Do you take medication for that OCD?
I do actually. I do. I am anal about that.
Oh boy, that's bad. So, but you guys, we appreciate all of our sponsors. And again, I will say this real quick before we move on. If you or know somebody who has a business and would love to be sponsored, listen, guys, or love to sponsor us, listen. I've already got feedback from everyone that sponsors us except for Jason so far, because this is only his second episode sponsoring. When we give you guys shout outs and stuff, you guys see it. And believe it or not, there's a handful of people that contact some of these individuals that sponsor us. So if you want to get involved with that, you can message me on Facebook or call me or text me or whatever you may want to do. 706-429-2010 is my cell phone number. That's my personal number. Do not call Danny right now. He is filming a TV show. No, I'm just playing. Or you can go on the Fish North Georgia website and you can get Danny's number straight off. I don't know his number by heart. I know it ends in 6700, but it's whatever. Maybe I should write that down. All I know is when it comes up on my phone, it says Danny Pruitt, and he never calls me actually. So most of the time he Facebook messages me, and then he wants to know why I didn't reply to his Facebook message. I said, well, you should text me because we have our personal cell phone numbers shared. And he said, that's inconvenient. Danny Pruitt at 678-283-6700. You have 21 voicemails. Get that off there. That's my pet. That's my pet peeve. That's my pet peeve. So, Everyone call Danny at once. Yeah. That's what we should all do.
At about 2:30 in the morning.
I want everyone to call Danny here as soon as the show is over. I want everyone at 10:05 to call Danny all at once and see what he does. He'll probably be like, dude, what the hell? What's going on?
Call him and tell him you want to sponsor the
I
show.
want to sponsor the Livewell. I want to sponsor the Livewell. That'd be great. He would die. Straight out the bottle, LJ says Kurt We Hunt. So I hope we have another mild winter. I do not hope we do not have a mild winter.
I hope we have a brutal.
We do not, Jeremiah. Let me. You don't have a boat, but let me tell you something, buddy. I love you to death, dude. You're a very smart individual, and you're a great fisherman. Let me tell you something. We don't need a mild winter.
We need a shad kill.
We need a shad kill, like a massive shad kill. Bad. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. There's so much effing bait.
Alatoona.
Alatoona is slammed
everywhere.
Altoona,
Carter's, Hartwell. Even Hartwell is just absolutely flooded with bait. We need one bad, dude. I mean, LJ, you want to comment on that about having a cold winter? God, we need one. It's not even funny, dude. I mean, no, let's not even started on that. God almighty, that's just depressing. We've got one thing. We got a good thing going on right here, especially talking about Alatoona. Lanier's getting with the Alatoona crowd over here. They're dropping the lake down pretty far this winter. Going to follow the suit of Alatoona.
And no rain.
We ain't had no
Yeah, I
rain.
was about to say, are they dropping the lake, or is
Even
it
Tim.
just from lack of rain? I know tuna they're dropping.
I have heard from Ryan, and I don't know. I have heard from Ryan that they're going to have to work on the dam at Lanier, so they're dropping it regardless.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard
So it may go
How
down.
does the hard winter help? The hard winter, having a hard winter, will kill off a lot of the little fingerling bait and
The
stuff
stuff
that's
that
just
can't
everywhere.
handle. All right. A
Go
lot
ahead,
of
Farmer.
times, your shad kills come from that extreme cold snap in a hurry. You got your bait up in the water column, and then all of a sudden it drops into the teens, and it stays there for
a
3
week and a half,
3 weeks. Those shad that were up there, it puts them into shock and it kills them.
Yep.
So you have a huge shad kill.
Spoon time.
Spoon time.
Well, I can't tell you when the last time we've had
The last big shad kill we've had
Alatoona.
was 6-7 years
Now, don't
ago.
get me wrong.
It's been a while.
There are shad that get killed even in this winter, even the mild winters.
the
that
mild
we've had,
winter,
but not at the level that we need it to.
Not
You guys, let me put it to you like this: you guys at Fish Lanier, we're just gonna do this in there. 1-800-1900 Ryan Love, whatever that means.
Right.
Listen to me. I'm being dead serious. You guys want to have another fantastic topwater summer? Y'all better do rain dance next summer, and you better pray for a dang cold winter. Because the more, if we get another summer just like we had again this summer, it's going to be like it was again this year. There ain't going to be topwater fish for all. It's not going to be that way. It's going to come up.
LJ gonna continue to make money doing his thing.
LJ's going to continue to make money doing his thing. Drove across. Let's see. I just want another topwater bite after Christmas like last year, but shad kill would feed plenty of fish and give them some relief. Listen, nobody's going to argue the fact that catching fish on topwater in the middle of the day after New Year's is amazing, because me and Jeff Nell are absolutely. We're like this right here. We're like, hey, are you throwing us a bill down the middle of these creeks? It's like, yeah. They're like, me too. We're catching striper. It's the day. It's New Year's Day. So it was fun. Let's see here. As someone with rental houses, I want a mild winter, but for fishing, I would help kill off some of the shad. Kim Burke said, heading out tomorrow, Charleston Park. What should I hit? Anything.
Everything and anything.
Start looking in though, but in all seriousness though, Ken, start looking into some of these ditches. Before I turn the camera off, you guys kind of seen a little bit, the particular little area that I fished right at the end, not the last spot, but the spot before that was a ditch. It was a ditch that come up into the mouth of a creek channel, and the ditch comes up into it. And Joseph caught one, and I had 2 bites. one of them I swung and missed on. You can see me swing and miss on it, and I laugh about it because I was just like, "This sucks. this is miserable." But go ahead and start looking into some of these ditches and stuff, Ken, because some of the bait and stuff is starting to really, as they're slowly starting to move into the backs of some of these ditches and stuff. So, but when we get the turnover completely done, it'll be game on. It'll be absolutely fantastic.
Paul, we need to, Paul, you and I need to go and hit some of those ditches we
I won't
found.
forget the start turnies.
Yep.
So Brad Davis drove across Wahoo Bridge this afternoon, and I saw where more bait wise than I have ever seen. Yes, and Wahoo, the way Wahoo's been for the past couple of years, Wahoo has been borderline in the winter unfishable. And the reason why it's been borderline unfishable is because there's millions and millions of bait in the back of Wahoo.
I went up in there last winter, and
I mean, why do they need to eat your bait that you're trying to
You see so much bait, you might as well just flip right back around and come back out of it.
I went up under the bridge
too much
and started fishing, and it was just so much bait.
It's ridiculous.
I'm probably went 150 yards, and I'm like, screw this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And you know, some people say that when some people say that we get this question a lot. What is too much bait? Well, when you pull into a spot like first thing in the morning and there's just gobs and gobs and gobs of pods, a football field of bait. Me personally, the way it is I don't even fish it.
How do you make your bait stand out from that?
Yeah, Jonathan and I, we talked about this last year. There was a time on Allatoona, if you pulled up and you were seeing the big, huge bait balls, get out of there.
Leave.
If you could find the little bit smaller bait balls,
stuff that's
about
where
the active fish were.
About the size of this table, about the hood of a car. Yep.
Yeah.
That was perfect. If you found that, you were going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
But if you pulled in and it was a single bait ball the size of a football field length and wide, then
and so thick that your graph was
trying to say that was the
you're
bottom.
in 3 foot of water and then you're in 25 foot of water. Get out of there.
I got a picture of that on my phone when I was in 30 feet of water, and it was saying I was in 10. And I was like, I am not in 10 feet of water. I'm in 30 feet.
I know I'm in 30 foot.
Yeah, I know. I fished this place
and
a lot.
And it was hard to find those smaller bait balls, but when you found them, like Jonathan said, you get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I've been to Rocky Mountain and seen them like on a kayak and just 100 yards long. See them on the graph below me. It's like, okay, let's go someplace else. This is ridiculous.
Well, that Christmas Eve tournament that Andrew and I fished last year, that we come in second. That's how it was. If you found the big bait balls, nothing. You found the little bit smaller ones, hammered.
That's where that goes back to that practice though. If you go in, and most everybody now has side scan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been out long enough. Most everybody has side scan now. You idle into a creek.
You assume too much.
You're different.
Go ahead.
But you can even do it with 2D. You idle into a creek and you idle over a bait ball, and that bait ball's 80 feet long, and you're idling over them going 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Or 2 miles an hour, whatever it is. That's a big ball of bait. That thing's huge. It's too big. Go to your next creek and you fall in there and you see a little ball about like that on your screen. That's the perfect size.
That's where you want to be.
That's the bait ball, or this is the bait that's spread out.
Yeah.
That's where these fish are at. You can pick those fish off better with a artificial lure than you can in a football size field.
Absolutely. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you see bait does not mean it's a good thing.
Too much isn't a bad thing.
That's especially really important. So I want to say this though here as we get ready to wind down. Some tournament announcements. The first one that we definitely want to shout out here is this Saturday at War Hill. We'll be fishing with Everyday Heroes. It'll be at War Hill Park on Lake Lanier. Joseph Castleberry and Captain Josh Thornton are putting that thing on. I can't remember what the entry fee is, but if Joseph is still watching, he can put that up there.
I think he said it was $100.
$100. Okay,
Yeah.
so the $100 entry fee. They got bring money for raffle tickets. They have a Oakwood Bait and Tackle gift card. They've got straight up mounts.
That's right, Ron.
That's right.
Yeah.
Straight up mounts will be giving away a mount that Jonathan Farmer won the last one. And gave it to me yet because he decided he was going to keep it.
I gave it to my father.
He gave it to his father.
Indian giver.
Indian giver. For real.
I gave it to my father because I know eventually that boat's coming to me. So we're setting it up, getting it ready. So when it comes to me,
ridiculous. So go ahead, go if you want to look for something, do that. Go out there and go fish for that and support a great cause. And also, too, on Lanier Saturday, Scott Barnes is having his tournament out of Little Hall. I think he's calling it November crawl bite or crawfish bite or something like that. That's what he's calling it by. It's a $125 entry fee. They always have some. Always have some good turnout. If you want to play with the big boys on Lanier, by all means, go up there and go sign up and fish with them. With the mentality that you're going to have to catch like 18 pounds to win. So.
Isn't it the Scott Barnes tournament? If you have less than 15 pounds, not even worry you're weighing in.
Pretty much to a certain extent. Certain times of the year, definitely. So Scott Barnes has got those two tournaments are going on out of Lake Lanier. Dane has a couple going on in Allatoona. I'm gonna let him take over on that.
All right, Big Shanty Bassmasters is having their 8th annual Toys for Tot tournament. November 5th at Lake Allatoona. It's out of Allatoona Landing Marine and Resort. You can look up Danny Perdue on Facebook.
Allatoona Landing?
That's what he's got on here. $60 entry fee. You can go on the Allatoona tournament page. They've got the ad on there, or Danny Perdue with Big Shanty. They also have a Toys for Tot Jeep run advertised as well. I know you can pre-register for the tournament at the dugout. I think it ends tomorrow at 5, but you can also register at the ramp. But they've been doing this. This is the 8th annual. It's Toys for Tots. What can you say?
My son's a maintenance man at Allatoona Landing. My daughter works at the fuel dock at Allatoona Landing.
There you go. So we have club tourney Saturday at Tuna as well. Ron Swinford says. 2 more questions here. We got time for them. Brad Davis, before you shut it down, any recommendations for Lake Wheeler, Alabama next week for the wild card?
Wheeler's another one it's right off of Gunnersville, so it's covered up.
It's it's a Tennessee River.
Yeah,
it's a Tennessee River.
Yeah.
It's before you get to Pickwick.
If you can pre-fish it, I'd probably pick up some kind of reaction bait, jerk bait.
You fished Wheeler?
And it's been a minute.
It's covered up.
I think shell beds will be in any proximity going on.
Does Wheeler have a lot of grass on it?
Yeah.
Not as much as
Not
Gunnersville.
like Gunnersville or Chick or Nickajack or Watts Bar.
I actually, if I was doing it, because it is a river system, I would go back into my creek channels,
beat the banks up,
and beat the banks. I'd sit there. I'd look,
singing my song.
I'd look for every time that channel swung in close to the bank, hammered into that bank. I'd hit that bank with everything I got.
Yep.
Because
singing my song.
There's a lot of big fish that hang out on them channel swings, waiting for bait and some type of bait fish to come through.
I'd spend some time side scanning and just seeing what I could find.
Okay.
Not me.
Spend a couple of 3 hours doing that.
Yeah.
You may not have to spend that long, but side scan, see what you can pick up, and then go to work.
If you can side scan when it comes to
stationary
practicing,
docks on
if you can stay off the pole and side scan and get your spots lined out, that will help so much in a tournament. If you can formulate a plan and know I want to go to this spot, and mark them in order, eventually you're going to hit.
If it is a dock bite on Wheeler, because it's stationary docks he's talking about, and a square bill around stationary docks, I'd have 4 rods sitting out. I'd have 2 square bills, and I'd tune both of them to where when I'm on the left side of it, it runs right into the post. And when I get on the other side, I throw the other one where it runs right into the post. I'd have a chatterbait and a jig.
Swim jig.
So I can skip it up underneath the docks and bring it out. And I'd just burn bank.
Yeah.
Burn that trolling motor up there.
All day.
Jeremiah says, I haven't fished Lanier that much this year. Is the bait really
Yes.
that thick? I saw a few large bait balls on my buddy's graph about 2 weeks back. I don't know where you were fishing, but you weren't around in that much bait. It is getting miserable on Lanier, and not just Lanier. It is getting miserable on a lot of these.
Do y'all
lakes.
think that with us getting a little bit colder earlier this year, that it'll hopefully bring in a harsh winter?
They're
That's what I was hoping
calling.
for.
They're calling for one. I have heard they're calling for a harsher winter than we've had in the last few years.
Well, that ain't much.
Yeah. Well, but I'm hoping we have one of them years where it gets down in the teens and stays there.
I wish it would too.
I usually try
And
to
I
keep
work
up
for the
with
power company, and I'm saying that.
I
For
usually
a fishing standpoint, yes. For me working for the power company, no. I wish we'd have mild winters all the time.
I usually try to keep up with the Farmer's Almanac, and it'll usually
The persimmons. You
Yeah.
look at the spoons, like all the persimmons I've seen this year have been spoons.
It's
have
been
silver spoons on 'em.
everyone.
but it'll also tell you, and it's been pretty accurate year after year after year, how many times we're going to get some kind of frozen precipitation.
Yeah.
And but I haven't looked this year. I'm hoping, because I'll tell you, it's getting harder and harder for my men in cricket to compete with the real thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard for my cricket to compete with that stuff.
It is. It really is.
They won't bite my cricket no more.
It's getting to this extreme point to where it's just like, yeah, we need something bad to happen. So, any final thoughts or anything on this before we round this thing out? I think it's been a pretty good show. I think we talked about a lot of things, and I think we got aggressive on a couple things.
Yeah.
But, it's fine.
Just remember,
I will say this, in all seriousness,
There you
the way that I like to practice, especially for me, if I'm gonna practice, I try to cover as much water early as I can. I try to, I like to eliminate water, and I feel better come tournament time if I can eliminate water. And I also try not to fish specific spots. When I say specific spots, if it is my home lake, if I know that in the tournament, I'm going to go fish this dock or two that has a brush pile buried underneath it, I'm not going to go flip my jig in it or something like that on practice day. Because, I mean, they're a fish in there and want to bite. If I stick it, and then it's kind of like, well, damn, I might have needed that.
Well, if it's your home
Saturday.
lake, if it's your home lake, you should be accustomed to it and know, okay, this is where I want to be
Yeah.
tournament day. This is what I'm going to pitch in there.
Yeah. Everyone wants a shad kill until you can't catch hardly anything on anything other than a spoon. Well, I will say this, Aaron Russell. I want a shad kill bad. I would love a brutally harsh winter. I really would. I would really love to have a brutally harsh winter. Because I don't mind one bit about focusing a couple of tournaments during the dead of the winter. I'm focusing a tournament where all I think I know I'm going to be doing is doing a Demiki head and a spoon. I mean, there's some of them spoon days, man, even though it's so freaking cold, I've got to experience a few of them in my life so far. I ain't experienced as much as like you have, but I'm going to tell you right now,
Yeah, Dane.
that shit is fun, dude.
You, Dane.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm just saying that stuff is fun, dude. I mean, you pull up to the right place and the right hole,
Oh yeah.
and you pull up to the right hole, and you start, exactly. You start trashing them, dude. I mean,
well,
one of the first experience I ever had, we caught 50 fish off one road bed, and every single damn one of them was 2 to 2.5 pound spot. I mean, every other one was 2 to 2.5 pounds. We weren't in a tournament. It was fun. We were just fun fishing. By God, we got tired of catching them.
Well,
But then guess what? We moved on to the next hole.
there was a time years and years ago on Lanier where you get out there in that 60, 70, 80 foot
Yeah.
standing timber with a spoon and drop it down, and you were catching 5, 6, 7, 8 pound largemouth on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
out there on a spoon.
I started
It's
saying
been a long
Some of
time
my-
since I've done that.
some of my best jerk bait winners is when we've had a shad kill.
Yeah.
You get out there and that shad, you start to see shad up on the banks where it's died and floated and it's still kicking right up there close to the surface.
Start dead sticking some jerk
Oh
baits,
my
too.
God. You talk about some biggins that will eat a jerk bait.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. We're all talking about a shad kill, a harsh winter. Do y'all think that would affect the largemouth
Nah.
having such a kill off of shad?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
They get heavy.
No.
Yeah, the largemouth, they
heavy.
get big.
They get thick.
They get thick.
Dead shad means free food.
Wintertime,
Touche.
those fish, they're cold blooded. They're going to they're not going to use any
They're
effort
just
to
going to
eat.
reach over
They're
there
just going to
and
reach
grab
over and eat it.
Well,
Especially with falling
what
right down
Kurt
to
said,
them.
the water up, mild winters, and bait have helped our Lanier largemouth population, though. Last couple of years, I've posted some really good numbers of lips.
Mhm.
The reason why you posted really good numbers of lips is because since about 2012, 2013
Mhm.
till now, the lake ain't fail. And we've got
Yeah.
all this grass and stuff now to this point to where a lot of it's dead. And for my bite in the summertime to really heat up good, I want all next year, even though it might suffer, I want all next year for it to be low because I want all my grass to grow back.
Well, I'll tell you,
And
I
I'm
think
curious to see because I just know how good the largemouth population has improved on Lanier. When the lake finally does come back up and we got some grass again, I'm curious to see what I can do.
Mhm.
And guys who fish for strictly spotted bass might have to watch out because if they get up there in that grass on my frog,
well,
I'm not
Alatona-
going to sit here and guarantee it,
Mm.
but I have a pretty good hunch that I would do pretty damn good next summer.
Alatona's largemouth population
And
is
they are. They
Yep.
are. Because, I mean, what? You guys, unlike on Lanier, guys on Altoona, y'all have had
Y'all got some stock.
2 over 10 in the past 3 months. And y'all have had multiple 7, 8, 9 pounders.
Yeah.
There was a 1 over 8 caught last week
Yeah.
off the water intake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know,
I have been really impressed with the size of the
Exactly
largemouth
what
I've
Aaron
seen.
said, though. That's why the largemouth population on Lanier has rebounded so hard because the grass helps spawn success.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I wish on Alatoona they would bring it back up
Yeah.
a little earlier. I think that
Yes.
hurts
Mhm.
the spawn a little bit on it.
Well,
Well,
there's
spawn will start, and then all of a sudden it'll
That water
jump 2
will
foot
come up.
overnight.
yep,
Mhm,
because they start letting the water in April,
mhm.
into
Mhm.
March, April. That's right when those fish are starting to really come up and get on them banks,
Mhm.
and they're constantly moving. It
Mhm.
messes them up. I agree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the good part about them dropping that lake is we do get a little grassy areas
Yeah.
in a few
Oh,
spots.
I know some good ones.
But what is it? The thing to take away from tonight's episode: do not sore lip your fish in practice.
Do not soil up your fishing practice.
Do not focus on bait just because it's there.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
not focus on bait just because it's there. And then also make a decision when you practice. Do you fish your strengths or fish your weaknesses?
Fish or strengths.
Fish your strengths. Exactly. 100%.
Anytime
If
not
you don't have confidence that you're going to catch fish with that bait in your hand,
you are wasting your
put
time.
it in the rod box.
Yep.
You're
Yeah.
wasting your time.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Practice your non-confidence baits when you're not in a
Mhm.
tournament.
When you're just out loafing.
Like
you
mine.
got some buddies on the boat and you're just hanging out.
Like I suck at spy baiting. I hate it.
Oh gosh, so do I.
Oh,
I need to learn how to do it because I've got my
y'all start-
Yeah, this. And the other thing, when you're
Paul's not bad with the spy bait.
when you're
We're
fishing
gonna
a
have to put Paul on
tournament,
my boat.
Mhm.
Teach me the ways of the Jedi.
I like Aaron's comment. He said, fish all your best stuff in practice. Go whack on them. Aaron
Whack
Russell
on
says,
'em.
go to your best piles and stuff and go to the
Look.
best docks and the best creeks and stuff that you can find.
Make sure
And-
there's
Soil lip every- soil lip
yeah,
everything in
I
there.
caught 40 today.
Good for
tournament
you.
on Saturday.
Pull up there, catch one or two, and leave it.
Yeah, leave it alone.
You'll see me if I pull up on a spot. I will maybe pull 2 fish off of it.
That's what I do.
I'll pull it off. Okay. There's one here that's a 2.5 pounder. I throw it back and I throw back in there. Oh, there's another 2.5. Okay, that's a wad of 2.5. So go to the next creek
Yeah.
or catch a 3 pounder.
Yep.
Okay, throw it back. There's a 1.5 pounds. Okay, there's a mixture here.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what Ryan said earlier. 1 is a fluke, 2 is a
2's a pattern.
Yeah, 2 is a pattern.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I do. I will go and I'll catch 2 fish out of it. If I catch 2 fish off the same school, off the same bait, I'll move to a whole new school of fish
I won't even try to follow up
and
bait.
throw
to see if they'll eat
something
it.
else.
But
To
also
see if that's
on the same token, if you go in there and you're seeing fish on the graph and they're not biting,
Leave.
leave, go somewhere
don't throw
else.
5 different baits at them.
Yeah, leave, go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
More times than, and I watched him do it as he kicked my teeth in on Blue Ridge 2 years ago.
Not saying that.
He went to a spot, he left it, he came back,
First cast was a
And
4.5
just
pound largemouth.
went to wearing them out. Well, when he was there earlier, they didn't want to bite. He left, come back, they fired up.
Different, yeah, different areas of the lake fire off at different times.
And
Well,
throwing the same bait.
a lot of times in the fall and in the winter, it's a timing deal.
Throughout
You
the day.
you may find a school,
Mhm.
but they're not fired up. Well, leave them. Go to another spot where you knew there was fish. See if they're fired up, and have you what I call a milk run. You make that same loop.
Milk run.
Milk run.
Okay, so one more question. I know you want to cut it off, Ryan.
Yeah, we're 5 minutes past, dude. Go ahead.
Never mind.
He's
Go ahead.
a
Go ahead.
stickler.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
can't remember. I lost it.
Oh,
Ah,
I
all
lost
right,
it.
guys. Listen, I know a bunch of y'all starting to sign off now. I know it's getting late, and guys, we appreciate everything. All you guys' support. Remember, if you need to get any apparel from Fish North Georgia, just remember, come see me tomorrow. I'll have hoodies are $10 off. Long sleeve shirts are normally $25 or $20, and short sleeve shirts that are normally $20 are $15. So you guys appreciate it. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate all our fine, fantastic sponsors for her apparel: Buford Dam Bait and Tackle, Lanier Baits, J&S Contracting, and Elite Landscaping and Pressure Washing Services LLC, and of course Rachel Collins at 400 Homes. We appreciate all of you guys' support. We love you. God bless you. Have a good one. And if you go fishing this weekend, go have some fun
And be safe.
and be safe. As always, wear your life jacket. So, guys, see y'all to the next one.
We out.